All right, let's take a look at that. So first lap, hot lap. This is a huge track that destroys your tires. So second lap's never going to be better. This corner, turn 3, doesn't matter too much. Just make sure you're not completely bogged down. You want at least a little bit of speed because you need enough speed to be able to take turn 4 at full speed to get the setup. So assuming you have a decent, like you don't have to overdrive or anything, just drive like a slightly under normal turn 3. Then turn 4, I'm going to set up a little wider than you'll see in my hot lap. So when the turn starts, I want to be just barely coming off the wall, coming down the track, and I want to apex about halfway through the curbing. You'll see on the hot lap, I'm going to be apexing a lot earlier in that hot lap than I do on this out lap. So we really want to apex super late to the curb, but only on the out lap. And that allows me to go full throttle earlier. Man, I got loose there. You're not supposed to get that loose. I just did. Doesn't make too much of a difference. This card chips out. So a great and a perfect run off of 4 is only worth about 2/100ths difference. So it's not the end of the world. So don't stress about that too much, but you really want to make sure that you at least get that shape, or else you're going to lose like actual tenths. Okay. So turn 1 here. I don't really have points for this. I guess before the stoplight is the point, but my real goal is I want to get to the bottom and stay there. I don't want to swash up the corner after getting to the bottom. So I go full throttle and then 10 to 20% brake as I'm coming down the hill. Let the car stick to the white line. And then what I'm looking for here is how my car lines up with this white line. Once I figure that my car is no longer trying to fight against going away from the white line, then that's when I can get back onto half throttle and drive the car back up the track. And then notice this, very important, only full throttle when I'm able to unload the steering wheel. If you're going full throttle without unloading the steering wheel, that is a recipe for spinning out. Okay, turn 2. So very different approach to turn 2 here. I'm aiming my car directly at the white line, almost driving it in a straight line towards the bottom. I want to be at the white line before the curb is here. So you want to get to the white line before the curb. That doesn't feel like it's right, but that's what I found to be the fastest. Because if you do that, I just do a quick tiny brake tap coming down the hill, half throttle it to the curb. Then once we reach the curb, I'm going to slowly raise the throttle and drive the car straight up the hill to the wall. This is how we keep that momentum. It doesn't look like a conventional line. It doesn't feel right, so to speak, but this is how we get the most speed down this very long backstretch. Half throttle to the curb, slowly raise it, unload the wheel, drive it straight up the track, full throttle towards the wall, stay off of it. Cool. All right, turn 3, very similar to turn 1. Gonna trail brake at about 10 to 20%. All the way down to the white line. We want to get our left sides between the white line and the curb. Man, I got really close to the curb there. Left. Yeah, this is about as close as you can get. You don't want to hit this curb. That's about as close as you're going to get. That's funny. So you want to have your wheel in between the line and the curb, and then same thing. You want to brake all the way down there, and then once you figure that your car no longer wants to slide back up the track on its own, you go back to 70% throttle, and then full throttle as you are unloading your steering wheel. Very similar to turn 1, and then of course turn 4 is pretty similar to turn 3 as well. We want to get down the track early. We want to meet the curb at the white line just about, but the curb starts a little earlier. So you want to get below the white line right after the curb. And then again, very close to the curb. So just a quick tiny, I don't even think this brake tap even registered, to be honest with you. So just down to 50%, hold 50% until the car feels like it doesn't want to slide up on its own. And then as you can unload the wheel, you go full throttle. Keep the car off the wall. Nice. All right, now let's go take a look at long run. All right, now let's talk about long run. So the interesting thing about Indianapolis is that each lap is going to drive different. So when we're on new tires, kind of like we are right now, the difference is that your entry points and exit points are all going to be pretty different than even like 4 laps into the run. So I don't like to tell people to go off of points. I like to tell people to have goals. So my goal here is to do whatever corner entry possible to get to the bottom by the time I get to the curb, or maybe even a little bit after, and getting on the throttle while still maintaining either a neutral or a loose balance. Now that's not going to last forever. Eventually this car is going to put itself on the right front, and you're just going to be wearing right front tire for the rest of the run. But if we can put the car on the right rear by forcing an early throttle point and getting the car loose, that's kind of a win-win situation. But I actually like to get off the throttle early, get down early, and then use the throttle control to kind of kick out the rear. Turn 4 is very good at getting the car to kick out. You don't want to drive it tight if you don't need to. I'll do a few laps here, and we'll even see how these points shift from now. Oops, that did nothing. So I really want my left sides to get somewhere between the white line and the curb. If you're not like on or below the white line, then you're missing out on some extra like angle, and you can be a little lower and all that. So you can see the fall off is like pretty much immediate at this track. It destroys tires. But I don't want to overdrive the corners. I still want to get all the way down the hill. And you can see that I'm taking kind of shallow entries compared to what you would expect. That was a bit underdriven, but it's not the end of the world. We're really just prioritizing having good corner exits because of how long these straightaways are, but at the same time, we don't want to bog our car down too much. So we give up a lot of entry, get it down where we want it, and then drive the car very neutral. We don't want the car to feel tight. If it feels loose, that's all right, but we don't want to go overboard with it. These straightaways are so long. So I'm just looking for, I don't have any point. I'm just really trying to make sure I get into the corner easily. If you're fighting to get to car to stay on the bottom, then you are over driving the corner. It doesn't matter what lap you're on. If you're like, man, this braking point that I did was so early, but I still didn't make the bottom. Well, maybe you didn't brake enough, but that's less likely. The more likely reason is you are just, in fact, need to brake that much earlier. Because I'll show you what you don't want to do. This will be what you don't want to do. You don't want to overdrive the corner, get to the bottom, and have the car slide back up the track like this. You don't want the car to bounce off the white line. You want the car to stick to it. Even in turns 2 and 4, same thing. We want to stick to the white line because that's how we're able to get on the throttle early and get the momentum down the straight. We're coming up to the final corner, so I'll show you how I want the car to stick to the white line. A little early on the brake, drive it straight down there, stick it in there. You see how it just really sticks to the white line. I have no issues with the wall. Same thing here. Stuck it to the white line, and now I can full throttle off and just let it go up to the wall. Now the right front is going to be wearing more than the right rear, but hopefully what I did there, yep, even wear. So that kind of shows you the blueprint for even tire wear here. If you aren't sticking to that white line, this right front value will be much, much lower. So keep that in mind. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.